Candidly Chaotic, and my name is Jamie. Here on this channel, I share our homeschooling adventures, mom life, and family adventures. And so if those things sound helpful or interesting or even familiar to you, I would love it if you hit the subscribe button and joined us. That does help my channel out. And then also I have a new Instagram page if you'd like to follow and see some things that we do, you know, more every day, as well as I just think it's easier to connect on Instagram than it is on YouTube. So I would love to see you there. That is in the description box below. Today's video, I'm sharing how I plan for the next school year. And I mean like how I plan out our year and when we're going to do school. There are many different ways to do it, but this just seems to work for us. I will say this year I have to do it. I have to do it in a certain way because I'll be having a baby in July and we want a certain amount of time at the beginning where we don't have to worry about school just because we can. And so we want to do that. And so that does change a little bit, like how I would prefer, when I would prefer to start school. We probably won't actually start it when I would prefer to start school, but that's okay. It'll all come out in the wash, you know. So first of all, I want to say before you start planning out your school year, you do need to know what your state standards are, and not your state standards, your state requirements are. Some states have different requirements on how long the day is, how much you do of each thing, and how many days or weeks you do for the school year. My state, I have to have 180 days, and so we have to have 180 days. So you definitely need to look that up first. Now, after you look that up, then you go from there. Now, the next thing that I would say that is really important is to figure out, kind of get an idea of how you want to do it. Like some people do year round, some people do Sabbath schooling, which is 6 weeks off, or 6 weeks on, 1 week off. Some people want to do 4 days a week. Some people want to mostly just follow like their local school calendar. There are really so many different ways to do it. And so just kind of think about what you think will fit your family and your family's lifestyle and needs the best. That's definitely an important thing to do. And so for us, I know this past year, I did school 4 days a week because my kids went to a daycare 1 day a week. And we had freedom in that we could take school with us. And so we did take school with us quite often on a couple trips actually. But we didn't have freedom as far as we had to be schooling. We had to be schooling a lot to make up for those to make up for, you know, 1 day every week. And so I know that this year my kids won't be going to a daycare. And so I know that it's important to me that we have a little bit more freedom to take time off, because it was just tiring and kind of frustrating to have to always take school with us. I like that we have that option. I just don't want to have to do it all the time. And I also realized that we needed some breaks. People need breaks. And I felt like we were just always doing it. And so this year, that's really important to me that we have some time off. So I am going to try kind of Sabbath schooling. I'm not going to be super strict about how it is. I would like to do school for anywhere between 6 to 8 weeks and then have 1 week off, whether that be for a vacation or we just take the week off and stay home. Either way is fine. But so we'll be schooling 6 to 8 weeks and then have 1 week off. That's how I would like to try and do it. So I have that in mind. I have my 180 days in mind. And then I go through and figure out holidays and any vacations we know we're having, and anytime my husband knows he's going to have off. I also put that all down. So let me show you on paper how I do this. And first of all, I want to say I do it in pencil because I know it's going to change. So, or I like to be able to erase a lot. But so I do it in pencil, and I get these year at a glance papers, and these are extremely helpful for this. So let me turn my camera around and show you. Here is the year at a glance, which you can actually get like an academic one where it has 2021 and 2022, and it starts, you know, July to July or whatever, which I meant to do, but I printed it out. I printed it out incorrectly on accident, so that's fine. I just have 2 different years here. And yes, so here is what it looks like. So I know that we have to have 180 days, like I mentioned. And then I go through and figure out like when we have certain times that we know that we always go on vacation. So I circle those. I pay attention to holidays. When my husband, like here we have a bunch circled when my husband would like to take off, how we usually do it for Christmas time and what he gets off for Christmas. And if we had any other vacations in here that we knew were happening, I would do that as well. And so I just take time to circle and mark in all of that. And then here, I'm going to zoom in because obviously it's not the whole year. And then once I do that, then I figure out when I might like to start school. Now this year I have less of less choices available to me because of baby time. But I figured out that we will probably start about the 18th. It does depend on when baby comes, and it might actually change, which if you can see, I have a bunch of different notes on either side because I kind of figured it up in a couple different ways. But I think we will probably start the 18th. I do like starting, you know, in the middle of the week and slowly ramping up. I also like the first day probably not doing everything, maybe just doing some of the basics, and again, adding in and slowly ramping up. Just going to mention that. But we will probably start the 18th. And then what I do is, because I know I want to have anywhere between 6 to 8 weeks, and then gotta move my phone. And then a break, I do count the weeks, which I guess I didn't count this as a week. I probably could have. But anyways, so then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, we know we have a vacation here, and so that actually works out pretty well, especially because this week we're starting halfway through, and so I'll just go ahead and do school these 2 days, and then not this day, or this day, which is actually in October. And then I start counting again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks. Well, then that's in November. I'm not going to take this week off because I already know we're going to have at least these 2 days off. So if I go 7, 8, which is the, my upper limit of what I wanted to do, then that means that I can take this whole week of Thanksgiving off, which is not normal for us, but it'll be a fun new thing to do. And then we'll school again, 1, 2, 3, and it's kind of off because it's Christmas, and that's totally fine with me. Especially because we're doing, 8 versus 6 weeks. So then that's as far as I go for now. This is pretty, other than like our start date, because we don't know when baby's coming. If it weren't for that, this would be pretty set. This at this point in time, we're probably not adding any other vacations or anything like that. We would know that by now. And so this is pretty much set on how it's going to work out. And so I do then go through and count what days each month we are schooling, and I write the number next to the month. That way I can start counting it up. And here, this depends if we're going to take these 2 days or not. So that's why I have 2 numbers there. Okay, so then I move on to the next year. And again, if there's anything I know we're going to take off, I go ahead and write that in, which at this point, there's nothing that I know we're going to take off because that's so far ahead for us that we just don't have anything planned. So I just start with the weeks and I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, And then so I have a question mark. Is this the week we want to take off? And I have a question mark because we will probably want to do some sort of spring break thing. And so it will just depend on if we're taking a big vacation or if my husband will just take some time off and we'll hang out, or who knows? That's so far away. So we really don't know. And so I just have a question mark, but I know that this week could move. This week off could move to this week or even this week, and that would be totally fine. And so, but then I just keep counting as if that is the week we're taking off, and start over again. And here's, 6 weeks, and then we'll have another week off. And so again, it's a question mark. So that part is variable, but it gives me an idea. And then I continue to write in how many days we're schooling each month with those weeks off. That way, then I can add up these numbers on from both years to figure out where my 180 days are. If everything were to go to plan, if everything were to go how I have it written down here, and we had no sick days and no surprise vacations or issues or whatever, this would be our 180th day. This would be our last day. Now, I do not suspect that that's what will happen because I just doubt it. Life doesn't go how you plan it, and we like to have some flexibility. So I really doubt that that's exactly how it will pan out. So then I just think, okay, where do I want to say we definitely should stop school? Like, when do I definitely want to stop schooling by? My ideal would probably be not schooling anything past like this week, maybe this week. But because of baby coming, that really does kind of mess with our timings a little bit, because I just can't control when baby will come. And so I did give us, this is like kind of our makeup days options, and then we would say, okay, hopefully we would be done with school by this week, and then that is our year. So it gives us flexibility, it gives us leeway, it gives me an idea of things when we're planning for vacations or time off for next year or things we want to do. I can kind of keep in mind, we might want to do it somewhere around here and somewhere around here, just to keep up with that rest time for us. And that is how I plan out our school year. Like I mentioned, flexibility is really important. Everything's written in pencil. Even the things that I'm pretty positive about before Christmas time, I still write that in pencil, and I can erase it and rework it. And I rework it all year long, just to kind of keep myself accountable and on track and make sure we're getting those days in, and to make sure we're stopping at a time that I'm comfortable with stopping at. So that is how I plan out our school year, and get an idea. And I like to have that idea of when we're starting and when that would make us stop and all that stuff. I like to do that around now, because then I know when or around when we should be starting our next school year in the fall. So I would love to hear from you in the comments. How do you plan out your school year? And, what kind of school, schedule, I suppose, what do you like to follow, as far as how you plan when you're going to be what days you're going to do school and what days you're not. I would just love to hear from you in the comments. So I will see you in another video again soon. Oh, and don't forget to hit the thumbs up button.